Welcome to TEPSA Talk, the podcast where leaders inspire, share, and grow together. TEPSA is dedicated to celebrating the incredible work happening in education. Each episode, we dive into meaningful conversations with leaders, changemakers, and innovators who are shaping the future of our schools. Whether you're looking for fresh ideas, encouragement, or a little spark to fuel your passion, TEPSA Talk is here for you. Imagine tuning in to hear how leaders are revolutionizing their schools, tackling challenges head-on, and fostering a culture of collaboration. Grab a coffee, hit play, and let's grow together. Welcome to TEPSA Talk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another all-new episode of the TEPSA Talk podcast. I'm your host, Todd Nesloni, the Director of Culture and Strategic Leadership here at the Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. So, each week we bring you different thought leaders from around the world, and one of the things we've talked about in several episodes throughout this last year is artificial intelligence. And as we've had a variety of conversations about that, there is one group that I absolutely love and I'm obsessed with called MagicSchool that I was like, we have to have somebody on here from MagicSchool who does this incredible work that teachers are obsessed with, who are using it, who can talk to us some more about artificial intelligence in schools, what that can look like, and how MagicSchool can help support that. So we invited Andrew Davies on with us today. Andrew, why don't you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm really excited to be here. My name is Andrew Davies. I'm the social media and community manager at MagicSchool, and also have been a user myself for the last about year and a half or so. So before this role, I was an educator for 15 years, and most recently I was a digital learning coach. So I was kind of dabbling in all the world of AI even before joining up with MagicSchool.
Awesome. So, okay, you know that we've got a lot of administrators and school leaders who are listening to this conversation, and artificial intelligence and AI has a lot of emotions come up. Some people are really excited by it. Some are still confused about it. Some are terrified about it. And so all of that is a reality in education right now. So let's start with that. When we think about the power of artificial intelligence in our schools, in our classrooms, what are you seeing are some of the biggest benefits of us in education embracing and utilizing this technology instead of being fearful and hiding from it?
Yeah. And I think, everything you brought up is, very important to be mindful of, right? Like, I think with such a powerful tool, just like what they say, is it Spider-Man or Superman, right? With great power comes great responsibility. It's one of the two. And so, I think it's important to be mindful of those things as we're learning how to use AI and how to be careful with it, responsible with it, and use it when it makes sense to use it, right? Not just overusing it for no purpose. But I'll kind of go. I'll answer it two different ways. So from the teacher perspective, I've seen a lot of powerful ways that our platform and just AI in general has been used. A lot of it, everyone will go back to the whole time saving piece, right? It saves teachers time because they're not having to do some of the mundane tasks. Maybe it's writing emails or creating lesson plans. But for us, like, we're hoping that time saved translates into more meaningful time put into building relationships with students, more meaningful time put into creating more engaging learning opportunities for your students, more time put into giving teachers back maybe some of their personal time so they can feel rejuvenated and give back more to their kids. So I think the biggest piece that we've seen is the whole time saving piece, but now it's the whole, being excited about how AI generates something quickly is no more, it's not surprising anymore or as exciting anymore. Now it's, okay, what can we do with that? Now that we have that technology, what can we do with that time that we now have saved? So that's kind of how the biggest power shift I've seen is the teachers that have taken that and run with it. Like, they have time. So now how can they apply that and make it, like I said, into more meaningful time elsewhere? And then for the students, my goodness, like, I feel like that's probably the part that excites me the most, is how it can level the playing field for kids, especially if you look at using AI as like an accommodation piece. We've had teachers who have set up, we have what's called student rooms, where students can be given access to certain AI tools in a safe space. And we've seen teachers give students access to maybe some of the things that were their previous accommodations. So, a tool that can level the text for a student right there on the spot gives that student so much, agency over their learning, where they can instead of having to have a teacher go, either explain it to them while they're reading through it or read it aloud to them, they can have it drop the level on their own and then have it read aloud right there in the program. And that's not saying we want, to replace like a teacher or a para. What that does is it frees up that para to help the student in other more meaningful ways than to just sit there and kind of regurgitate the information. So I think the student tools in general, like the ability to get, writing feedback instantly and be able to add that to the students' writer's workshop, where maybe instead of waiting around all of a class period or possibly a whole week at times to get feedback from the teacher, you can get feedback right away and then, make those changes to your paper before turning them in. There's just so many use cases. I could literally ramble on and on, but those are some of the things I'm the most excited about with the power of what AI brings to both teachers and students.
Well, and so many of those things are, even as you're talking, I'm like, oh yeah, we could do that too. Oh yeah. Because that's the great thing about AI is that there's so many opportunities to utilize it. And I love what you said is, even in what I've used AI for, it's never replaced me. And it's never meant to replace the educator. It's meant to improve and free things up and allow them to work in different, more meaningful, just like you said, ways. And I know sometimes for educators, whether they're administrators or not, the prevalence of tools that are out there can become very overwhelming. And that's what I love about MagicSchool. And one of the reasons we invited y'all to come on as a guest is that I don't want teachers to be turned off or administrators to be turned off because of the fire hose effect of just, so I don't know what to use. There's so many. How do I know it's safe? How do I know it's protecting me? Like all these things. But you guys have designed a platform and a tool that is really just the one-stop shop for educators, where it is a well-regulated, safe space for them to go and utilize tools meant for improving education. Talk to me more about that.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the reasons why we've been adopted so much across the country and across the world at this point, is because of the easy access that we've created. And I feel like one thing I love as a techie person myself, I love that we have tools that kind of hit every need out there. So meaning, we have tools that are easy plug and play. Like if you want a rubric, you just go click a button, you fill out a couple of fields, and you have a rubric. But then we also have, for the more advanced users, the ability to create your own custom tools. Or we have Raina, which is like our version of ChatGPT, but acts more of like as like an instructional coach that's more open-ended. So I love that we kind of hit all different users in that way. But also, as far as like keeping everything in a one-stop shop, talking about our teacher and student side, our student side is pretty identical to the teacher side, which I love, because as a former digital learning coach, there was nothing harder than trying to train teachers on something brand new and then trying to get them to use it with students. What's nice is once teachers know how to use the teacher side, it already looks like the student side. So it's really not a lot of, you don't lose a lot there in transitioning from one to the other. But then also, when we talk about safety, that's something our team has prided itself on from the get-go, being that most of us are former educators. Our CEO is a former principal, former special education teacher. And that's something that's the most near and dear to him, is that everything we're doing is safe and secure. And so we're compliant with all of the things. I won't even try to name off all of them off the top of my head. But we've earned many accolades, even recently, being like I think Common Sense Media is a big one. If any, your listeners are familiar, they go out and they'll do independent reviews of ed tech companies. And they did one of us, and we ended up scoring in like the top 1 percentile of all ed tech platforms and like data protection and privacy. And so, like I said, that's something our team is very, 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 very aware of. And we're aware of the dangers of what AI, just open source, can bring to students. Right. And so that's why we exist. Like we're a guardrail system to allow students and teachers to use these tools and use them effectively, but in a safe space.
Yeah. And that's what I love about this. It's not about running from something or putting your head in the sand and saying, we are not going to do this. And the reality is, it's part of our lives, even when we don't see it. And finding ways to use it in a safe, protected environment only leads to more success down the road. But what I love that you shared, and one of the things that I've experienced using MagicSchool myself, is that it doesn't matter what level of user you are. it works for you. And so if you are like, look, Todd, you're lucky I remembered my username and password to get in here, great. Then there's a step-by-step process for you. But then if you've got those people who are like, I use all these AI tools and they're great, I can get in here and I can get into Magic School and I already can go to the advanced section. That's available for them too. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate that as a school administrator. But the other thing is, just like you said, there's nothing more frustrating than training teachers on how to use something and then they use it and then the kids have questions and you go to look at the kids login and it doesn't look anything like the teachers and you're like, I don't know how to help you. Like I've never seen the student side. So I really appreciate that that element is in there as well. And so when you think about all of the, and I know this is probably going to be an impossible question for you to answer, but when you think about all the things Magic School provides, or when you're working with other educators and you're hearing the things that are most used or seeing any analytics, what are you seeing as one of the most used things in Magic School?
Yeah. Man, I think probably one of the most used
Or
right
your favorite?
now. Yeah. So I think probably most widely used that I've seen right now, like the writing feedback's very popular right now, and I think a lot of that is it's just an easy entry point into something that's maybe a little more advanced than just what our typical tools have to offer. So teachers are starting to see the power of, I can set this up for students and I can attach a rubric and it'll actually give them feedback based on what I'm wanting it to give feedback on. And so I think that's been really popular recently. My favorite are the custom chatbots. And so I love building use cases. One of my favorite things to do is when I'm at a conference and teachers come up and they give me some really complicated use case. I love trying to come up with some solution using a custom chatbot because they're really adaptable and you can turn them into whatever you want. And so I love using them for scenario-based questions and scenario-based conversations with students. So, for example, we have CTE teachers that come to us pretty often asking us, okay, what can this do for me? I teach, I had one that, they teach students how to become law enforcement and, helping that teacher build a chatbot that acts as a like a situation rather than a like a person. It can act as like a crime scene or describe a crime scene, and the student has to kind of figure out a way to interact with that. So just things like that I think are my favorite use cases.
That's what I love, just the way you can tailor it to fit you, your personality, your expectations. I think that's what people miss when they don't really dive into these things is you really can make it work the way you want it to work to match you and your individuality. And so, Andrew, as we wrap this conversation up today, and we have a lot of different things we've talked about today with AI in schools, but if you want the listeners to walk away with one thing, what's the one thing you want them to walk away with?
Man, I would just say the time is now to dive in. And I think taking baby steps is important. Like find what's comfortable for you, find a tool that works well for you. I believe there are different AI tools for different purposes, right? And I think Magic School fits a great purpose for school. So I think if you're, an educator looking to get started, just try it out. And I will mention like everything I brought up today, as far as my favorite features, are all free. You can use everything for free, even the student side. So I would say, especially as the summer's approaching, if you're going to look at anything over at the end of the school year or over the summer, just take some time to play around with it. Cause really that's the best way to learn it, is just, and the fastest way to see how impactful it could be is how quickly you can become an expert in it, right? Like it's really just having conversations. So I would say jump in, don't be scared. But then also with that said, also learn and teach yourself the limitations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you've started diving in, pay attention to, podcasts or there's tons of articles and other places online you can go to learn about what do we need to be mindful of when we're using AI. So that way you're building those AI literacy skills alongside just learning how to play with it.
I love that. So if people do want to learn more about Magic School, where can they go to do that?
So magicschool.ai, our website, we've got tons of resources. We also have a whole page, landing page dedicated to AI literacy for teachers and students. And then we also have, I believe, like 8 different free certification courses that teachers can take that you can actually turn in for PD hours as well. So you can take those courses and learn a whole lot about the platform for free.
And if you are attending the TEPSA Summer Conference, Magic School is also going to be doing a session there where you'll get to go in and dive into some of this and ask all your questions. So if you're coming to Summer Conference, you'll definitely want to be looking for the Magic School session as they share more there. Thank you, Andrew, so much for being a guest today. And thank you, everybody, for listening or watching another episode of the TEPSA Talk podcast. You can join us again next week with another all-new guest.